Welcome to the Real Room, ladies and gentlemen. I am your host, John Hinton, and you are in a real place for real people to have real conversations where we try our best to be relational, educational, authentic, and loving. Yo, real quick, shout out to everybody that's watching on YouTube or listening to us on Apple Podcast or Spotify. However you're consuming your content, thank you for stepping in the real room and getting real with us. Yo, what's up, real ones? Welcome back to the Real Room. I am so happy you guys have stepped in here and you're ready to get real today. I have probably said real over 10 times already. I've spelled it out. Oh my gosh. So I'm super excited because I have a new guest that has not been on the show yet. He has not stepped in the Real Room officially, but dude, we've been in the Real Room for a while already. And so it's been a long time coming. So I'm not going to hesitate. I'm not going to wait any longer. I introduce to some and present to everyone, Raul Hernandez.
Hey, how's it going? Glad to be here.
Dude, thank you for coming in the Real Room.
Yeah, no problem.
I'm so happy you're here.
I don't know how to respond to that.
Bro, all right, so for everyone, I'm obviously going to let you just introduce yourself, but I want to introduce you real quick. This man is my friend. Bro, you're my friend. You're my homie. You're my boy, coworker. You are, you're just really close to me. You are like a heterosexual life mate for sure.
I know what you're getting at.
Bro, for real though. No. Like, how long have we known each other?
Probably going on about 9-10 years.
Has it really been that
yeah.
long?
Well, let me clarify that unofficially, because I think we knew of each other for about 9-10 years. We've been friends for probably 7 or 8 of them, though.
Okay. Yeah, because when did we meet? I know.
So we officially met, I want to say, I think in 2014. No, 2015.
I think it was 2015.
I keep touching my face.
No, you're fine. What do I do?
What do I do?
What do I do with my hands?
We met in 2015, I think, at work. You started during our busy season.
Yep.
But before that, you had been around a couple of times.
Yeah, this was not my first time at Best Buy.
Yeah, and you more or less like were that guy I knew of, but not a guy who I actually knew.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so
I got you. Was it a bad
reputation?
Reputation. Sorry, my brain. I had a real bad brain fart. Did I have a good reputation, or like when you say you heard of me? No, I didn't.
I didn't like. When I say heard of you, I heard that you were the guy who would go run errands pretty much. Like I didn't really know you.
I got you.
But like going off of that, it definitely seemed like you were the slacker.
Oh, for sure.
Like you wanted the easy job.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty accurate. Yeah, you're right. And then we I switched departments, or I like came over, and yeah, I think we officially met. I don't know. I don't want to say it was like love at first sight, but like what we just kicked it. You helped me out. You showed me the ropes.
Yeah, and you saw, a innocent young man that you could try to influence and corrupt.
Yeah, at that point in time in my life, see, oh my gosh, we're going to get to dive into some things.
Yeah, we're going to cover some content.
Yes, we are. All right, so that's we met in about 2015-ish, and we've known each other ever since. You actually are, other than Pauline, I want to sit here and think. Yeah, you're the first guest that we've had on here that actually knows me before I gave my life to Jesus.
Yeah.
And I switched up and started living for him. So this is going to be very interesting, and I'm so for it.
I think this is definitely just some good context to add, because I know you oftentimes get to talk about where you are now, but this is going to add context of the where you were then.
Oh, absolutely. And maybe don't drag me too far through the dirt, but like obviously I want to be real. I want to be honest, because I'm not ashamed of where I was. Because I was living life, bro.
Yeah.
But yeah, before we do all that, though, we're going to spin around and get back to that. But I want you to give people context to who you are. I mean, you've watched an episode or two before. You've seen our content. You know what we do here. And I really just want to give people context to who you are so that they know you a little bit better. And then we can just dive into a couple of the topics that we talked about off camera that you want to dive into. So
yeah, absolutely.
And dude, you can take it wherever you want. You can be as real as you want. Yeah, you know what we do here. So
yeah,
tell the people who you are.
Yeah. So hi, my name is Raul. I've been a friend of John's for a good long while, as we've just established. Pretty much, I worked in a warehouse, and I've been doing that for about the last decade. A little bit of schooling, a little bit of college, but haven't really gone anywhere with that. Other than that, I think that's pretty much the gist of it. Pretty simple guy, pretty simple life.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I feel like it's like the starting of a dating profile.
Oh, knock it off.
All right, so do you want to talk anybody about your childhood at all or anything like that? Like, I know a lot of people just like dive into like, hey, I'm this many years old, raised by this family, blah 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 blah. Open you.
Yeah, so pretty much I grew up in a family, mom and dad, a couple siblings. Grandma lived with us for a while. Nothing really crazy though. Like I said, simple life, kind of.
I got you.
So, definitely on the lower end of the spectrum when it comes to financial means. Not necessarily like poor, but definitely lower middle class.
Bro, same here.
So,
same.
A little bit of struggling, but.
Oh yeah, mom had to try to pay the bills. It was not easy.
Yeah. Not only that, like I can't tell you the Christmases, of putting Christmas on a payday loan.
Bro,
those things are awful.
Dude, hold on. Is layaway still a thing?
I imagine.
I mean, maybe like the form of layaway has just changed, like a payday loan or like
no, payday loans are infinitely worse than layaway. In
my
opinion.
I agree with you.
Yeah,
because so much more interest instead of just like stacking it away and paying it, and then
it's a self-perpetuating cycle of debt, and it's terrible, and I would not wish that on anybody.
Right. Yeah. So all right. So me and you can definitely relate to that, and that's why I'm excited for. Because I mean, there's just something about sitting down and getting real with somebody. Because I feel like I've known you for quite some time, and I feel like I know you, but I still believe there's things that I don't know about you. So when you reveal those things, or I get to know new secrets, or I wouldn't even call them secrets, like you're keeping them, but just new information, really.
Yeah.
It's like I love you even more because it's like I can relate to you.
Yeah, the connection just grows even stronger.
It does, and we become more close and in love. So you were raised simple home, mom and dad, lower middle class.
Yeah.
And then I know, what was like the family dynamic for you like growing up?
Ooh. So dad, love you, Dad. Dad was definitely a heavy drinker, would binge drink, and definitely reflected in kind of how I grew up as well as, some of the things that I said I want to do differently.
Right. Got you. Kind of got pretty much an example, and then it's like, not saying a bad example, but just like, hey, yeah, I could learn from your mistakes.
Yeah, and it's actually a big part of kind of how I live my life now is instead of replicating people's mistakes, I'll try and learn from them.
I got you. And then, yeah, I would say that's pretty accurate. I would say you're one of, not as if I like hang around like ignorant people, and ignorant's not dumb. Ignorant is just misinformed or uninformed. But you're definitely one of the smarter people I have in my life, and I consider you kind of like you're someone I go to for counsel. Like, I consider you pretty wise for your age, and I just enjoy going to you. So
I appreciate that very much.
And then your mom?
Mom worked a lot, She, I want to say most days she would come home, she'd make dinner, she'd pass out, and that was all you saw of Mom. did her job as a mom, but I mean, other than that, you didn't really get a lot out of her. So,
Bro.
we was kids raising ourselves.
Bro. I don't know why it's just clicking now though, but yeah. We really do relate in that sense cuz my mom was a single mom raising two kids on her own, working and then sometimes she'd be on like night shift. So like me and my brother would be raising ourselves. And my dad, he struggled with drinking as well, and he was actually like a little overweight as well, and then struggled with that, and he ended up passing away when I was like 6.5, 7 years old. So, bro, I just connected those dots. I'm like, yo, our parents were kind of like samesies.
Mm-hmm.
And do you have any siblings?
Yeah, so I have two older sisters. Funnily enough, if you lined us up now, you wouldn't even be able to tell who's the oldest of us.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the oldest looks the youngest, and I'm the youngest, and I look the oldest.
Is it stress?
I hope not. Don't you put that on me.
I would never. All right. So sweet. That's context to you, your family dynamic. Yeah. What's up, man?
What's up?
What you want to get into?
I will get into whatever topic you want to get into.
Okay. Well, one of the topics, I mean, you already know what we do here. I mean, it's not limited to, because I don't believe God's got limits, but it's not limited to God. But I know one of the subjects you wanted to get into was religion and relationship. So what's up?
Religion and relationship. In what context do you mean with that?
Well, that'd be whatever you want to talk about, my guy. It was like, so I gave you
because I know one of them was religion versus like faith kind of, and how that kind of goes about.
All right.
And it's more because we've known each other for a good long time, and we both are very, very much about faith.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think anyone can deny that per se.
Right.
But I think there is a difference between you and I, and that is the fact that you regularly attend church and I don't attend church.
I got you.
And I think that's kind of one of the things I wanted to touch base on, because I know a lot of people out there do believe, but a lot of people don't really like church, if that makes sense.
I hear you. Yeah, I definitely... I mean, we've had these conversations before, so this will be easy.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, it's just kind of like so many ways so many directions that we could take it. So where should we go? I would just start with saying that building the foundation, there is definitely a difference between religion and relationship. Now, the difference between religion and relationship that I come to understand, being 32 years old, raised in the church, and also like having a certain understanding of what this whole faith thing was, and then walking away from the church, living my own life, which you got to take part in partially, and then coming back to Christ, coming back to my faith, and then seeing what it truly was meant to be. So I got the context, or I pretty much I have experience on both sides.
Mm-hmm.
And I've come to understand that religion really comes down to just following rules. And what I mean by that is God literally gave us the 10 Commandments. This is what I believe, that God gave us the 10 Commandments. And these 10 Commandments are, the first 5 is, it might be the first 5 or the second 5, but the first 5 deal with getting close to God and pleasing God. The second 5 deal with getting close to people and pleasing people, because God's ultimate, or essentially, yeah, so you got the first 5 that are pleasing God and serving God. Then you got the second 5 that are pleasing people and serving people. And then from those 10 commandments, the Jewish leaders ended up like literally trying so hard to please God and please people that they created 660 some, like over 600 laws. So we had 10 laws, and now there's over 600. And that kind of, if that gives a little bit of framing work and pictures it, how really we just try to go above and beyond, and people be doing too much. And that's how you kind of fall into religion, because you try so hard to follow all these rules because we're imperfect people and we're trying to have a relationship with a perfect God and to please him ultimately. That's religion. And then relationship is understanding that I am a sinful person. I have sinful tendencies. I was born into sin, and there's nothing good, like there's nothing innately good about me. Do I have the potential to do good? Is there good in me? Yeah. But the only thing good about me is God and his idea, or the identity, his true understanding, his true will for me and for my life. That's what's good. And then I would also add real quick that what helps us to understand the difference between religion and relationship is you have all these list of rules that you just can't follow because we're imperfect. Relationship, Jesus said that he was able to sum up the commandments in two commandments, and that was to love God and love people with all your heart, mind, and soul. Or love God with all your heart, mind, and soul, and then love people as you love yourself. And it's that easy. And if I stop trying so hard to follow all these rules, I can see that I'm not able to follow all these rules unless God helps me to. And it's through having a relationship with him I can come to understand who he is and who I am. Make sense?
Yeah, no.
And I would say, from what you explained, I definitely agree there's a difference between you and I when it comes to religion and relationship. I can see how I can be perceived as a religious person. When I'm more like you. I'm more on the relationship side, because with that, I explain to you what I believe when it comes to religion and relationship. I believe I'm on the relationship side because I am just trying to get close to God. And I'm trying to serve him, and I'm trying to love people. And it's not through my power that I can do these things, but it's through the power of Jesus and his Holy Spirit living on the inside of me. And the fact that I have that understanding, I just practice certain religion or certain parts of religion, like religional practices, like going to church, praying, reading my Bible regularly. Those are more practices and less religion. Make sense?
Yeah. I'm picking up what you're laying down.
Cool. So where are you at on when it comes to like the relationship side?
Yeah, so I definitely 100% respect kind of what you were putting down there. And, you know, we've had this discussion multiple times. We talk about this a lot. And for me, it's somewhat similar, but it differs in the fact that I tend to live those tenets, but I also don't go out and like seek other people. If that makes sense, like you'll practice with other people, you'll read your Bible
Gotcha.
at church, you know, you'll attend church events, and it's not so much that I'm against the church.
Mm-hmm.
It's more just the fact that when you get all these like-minded people together,
Right.
you are essentially creating a sort of group, and we as people naturally kind of group ourselves up, and then we try to keep other people out of our group. And at the end of the day, I don't think that's good.
Okay.
Especially if we're talking about spreading faith and trying to help people grow and become the best versions of themselves.
Mm-hmm.
For example, like when I was younger, when I was a child, I loved going to church. Like initially, I would go to church with my parents, and then we moved, and they stopped going to church. But I would literally just walk to the closest church, and I would just go to church.
I got you.
Like I literally walked to church to do Sunday school, and I did that up until I was probably 10 years old. And then I got out of church for a little bit. I wasn't really going anymore. And then I started going again as a teenager. And unfortunately, what I was seeing a lot as a teenager was people would go to church and they would say these things. They would live these, air quote, live these things. And I'm not judging
No,
anybody.
I hear you.
You
This was
know,
your experience,
this is
so
what
I want to
saw.
hear it.
And you'd see all these people, saying that this is how they're supposed to be, on every day of the week. But then you see them Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, and they're not doing those things, which we are imperfect beings, and I'm not holding that against them.
Right.
But it just felt redundant to sit there and continue to kind of be with these people who would sit there and, fall short on their own. And then they'd sit there and they'd more or less try to exclude others from the group because they were falling short.
I got you.
And it just didn't sit right with me because we all have the same problem.
Mm-hmm.
And that problem is we're not perfect. We're never going to be perfect.
Yeah.
And to sit here and try and, put other people down or exclude them because of their imperfections when we're all just trying to get as close to a perfect person that we can be, and we're all struggling through it, it just doesn't sit right with me.
Right.
And that's kind of what got me away more so from religion. So it's not like the building of church that I disagree with.
Right.
It's more just the religion, because religion is a group and groups can be divisive. And I know there's definitely religions and there's churches out there that are super welcoming, like your church. I've attended several events. Like, I'm not a frequent,
frequent flyer.
Yeah, I'm not there every Sunday. I'm not there at every event. But when I show up, there's people there that they've seen me time to time and they welcome me with open arms, and I'm very blessed when I do show up because, you and I, we have this discussion. I'm not necessarily a church guy, but when I'm feeling rough or, like I just need reassurance, I do go find other people who I feel comfortable with, who I think can help me. And, and a lot of times those people are, at church or they're part of religious organizations. And for me, it's not so much about finding, people who think like me, more as it's finding people who have been through stuff like me.
I got you.
Because I will relate more to you if you've kind of walked along the same road that I'm walking than if you're sitting there talking to me and telling me what to do so that I can, do this and that, because it comes from a place where I know that you're telling me what I need to hear, not what I want to hear.
Right. I hear you.
And it's always just kind of been a very touchy subject for me regarding church and my faith.
I mean, well, first off, thank you for sharing. And I believe it is a touchy subject. I mean, we have a saying, correct me, or say it the right way. Religion and politics.
Mm-hmm.
There's like two sensitive subjects. Like it causes arguing. It
absolutely.
Causes fighting. It causes division because they're two things that we feel very strongly about.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm curious real quick because I want to paddle back. Why did your parents stop going?
I think it just kind of ended up, we moved and we were going to be at a different church, and I think more or less that's kind of why we stopped. I can't tell you, unfortunately. I was too young at the time.
I got you. But you continued going.
Oh, yeah.
And you enjoyed Sunday school as a kid, I'm sure. Coloring.
Oh, yeah.
Hanging out, having fun.
I had the best looking Noah's Ark.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Did you build it out of like a popsicle stick?
No, colored. I colored it.
All right.
Yeah, my water was green, not blue.
It's probably more biblically accurate. Listen, there was algae in that water. All right, but then you grew up and you were a teenager, and you're kind of like you said, you're going to a place where we're preaching this thing, or we're preaching this lifestyle, this agenda, if you will, but yet we're not really truly buying into it.
Mm-hmm.
And can I first just tell you I'm sorry?
Yeah.
And I feel like I need to apologize to you because you're right. Like people who are, I should say Christians who are professing to be followers of Jesus, professing to be a Christian, professing to believe in God and trying to follow the commandments that he gives us is good. It's a good thing. But to turn around and judge others for the same things that they're doing isn't accurate, and it's not consistent with what Jesus teaches. In fact, Jesus taught us that Jesus teaches that we should remove the speck from our or the plank from our eye before we even try to let someone know that they have a speck in theirs. And that's mainly to say that we have issues that we need to deal with, and we have no right to judge anybody. So I'm just sorry you had to experience that. Um, and then on top of that, I believe a lot that's an issue that still happens to this day, and it's unfortunate that that happens. But I believe that's a double-sided coin. And some people might not like to hear this, and it's going to be maybe a little uncomfortable for me to say, so I'm sorry if it comes off like offensive. And this isn't me coming at you, of course. We're pretty comfortable. But I feel like it's a double-sided coin to where we want to sit here and say like, oh, you Christians are being this way and this way and that way. But then on the other side of the coin, they're being the same way and kind of looking at Christians with a certain perspective that I believe is unhealthy for anybody who looks at a church. And that perspective is that coming into a church, they're expecting us to be perfect when that's not the case. In fact, we have it out here on Front Street, like we're preaching it, hey, we aren't perfect. And we're just trying our best. And that's why I believe you found uh, the healthier side of Christianity at our church, because we do preach that. And then we also, like, we're able to relate to the imperfections of everybody. And then also, we have found a way in a healthy way, we found a way to express the fact that, hey, yeah, we need to be better. We all need to be better. And I just don't think that unbelievers take their responsibility of their side of the coin. Like we can take our responsibility and say, hey, we're imperfect, but we're trying. This is what we should, this is what we should not do. And we try our best, but it's still, it kind of like goes unnoticed. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm a little like, I'm not going to say I'm offended, but it hurts me because it's kind of like some people just don't want to understand. Like they go into a church and they're like, why aren't you guys perfect? That's why we're coming here. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I go to church because I'm not perfect and I need God, but it's not just the place. We understand that church building's just a building.
Mm-hmm.
The actual church is just people. It's a group of people, like you said, like-minded individuals who are grouping together and trying to help and support one another. And sometimes that's not displayed accurately. That makes sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I would agree. I think, for just as many people who want to sit here and say Christians are, judgy because people aren't, living to a certain set of rules or standards,
Right.
I would argue there's an equal amount of people who hold, those people to that standard, like it's definitely two sides of the same coin.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, it's something we all have to work on if we want anything
Yeah.
to get better.
Yeah. And I think if I could add this too, I think we would experience less confusion and less of the back and forth and just this perspective that's unhealthy if a lot of us Christians, hear me, if you're a believer in Jesus, listen up. I think that we could help unbelievers come to know God a lot faster if we would choose our battles and we would display Christ in a loving way. And on top of that, stop trying to change them when they don't want to be changed.
Mm-hmm.
And one of my biggest pet peeves is, and I'm not saying don't share the gospel. I'm not saying don't share this message of hope that Jesus is. What I'm saying is there's something in me that gets irritated. It gets angered. And I believe it's a righteous anger because they're displaying Jesus in the wrong way. But I don't like people who shout on corners with a sign calling people sinners.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I know, they know. Like, we all know, like, they know they're sinning. They know what they're doing is bad. They don't care. Now, if somebody wants to believe in Jesus, wants to come to church, wants to change their lives, and they're spiritually seeking, then yeah, make them aware because they're already aware that what they're doing is bad. But to go out in the world and point the finger and say, you guys are bad, they could turn right around and say, you are too.
Mm-hmm.
Jesus said there's nobody good but God.
Yeah.
He's the only good one. None of us are good. That's why I explained it earlier where I'm like, in me, like me, myself, I'm bad. I mean, I always want to do bad things. And sometimes it doesn't feel like I have a choice. But I do because I'm relying on God's strength that gives me a choice now. Because you knew me when I was living in the world. We can get into it.
Yeah.
Bro, yeah, dude, I was a real D-bag, bro. Like, I was not a good person. I don't know your perspective of it, but I mean, you were around. Prepare yourself, people. I was an alcoholic.
Yeah.
I was a drug addict. I was not a good person. I was a womanizer. I was a manipulator. I was very irresponsible with money. I was a gambler. And I'm talking like irresponsible gambling, just throwing money away.
One would almost say an addiction.
Oh, yeah, dude. I was a straight up addict. Like, I was seeking vices to give myself pleasure. I was trying to fill a void because I had an understanding of the truth. I had an understanding of what would help me in life. But I was self-deceived. I was thinking just the head knowledge and the knowing about Jesus and knowing that he's real and all these things was saving me. And I'd go to church every once in a while, you know, the Christmas and Easter Christian, like I think they're called like CEOs or something.
Yeah.
Christian or CEO. So it'd be Christmas, Easter, and other holidays.
Yeah.
So I was a CEO Christian and I did it well. But then every other day of the week, like you knew me, like we'd be hanging out at work. Like, what are you doing after work? Oh, I'm going to the Eagles.
Yeah, we're going to the bar.
Yeah, we're going straight to the bar. And just for everybody to know, the Eagles are like a club. To where, because we wouldn't go to a regular bar, we'd go where we could get our drinks cheaper.
Yeah.
Like, so we could drink more.
Yeah. And we could stay later.
And special rules and all these things. And we wouldn't be bothered. And, because we were just older souls too.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we didn't really enjoy like hanging out around our crowd or our age group unless we wanted to. It was by choice. And just the older people are a little bit more fun.
Yeah. Laid back too.
Oh yeah. Bunch of wisdom, because it's not like, and some people just are weird when they get saved and they start believing in Jesus. Like, they want to write off their lives as if that person never existed.
Mm-hmm.
I remember who he was. I liked who he was. I've said it on this podcast. I liked who I was. He was a pretty fun guy. Did he make irresponsible decisions? Yes.
Absolutely.
Every single day. But we did have a lot of fun, and there was a lot of innocent fun in it to where we weren't bothering anybody. We weren't getting into trouble until we were.
Mm-hmm.
And we had a lot of fun just hanging out. But I was not a good person.
Oh, no.
I don't know your perspective on it.
You were definitely a good person, but you were definitely a person that was making bad decisions.
Yeah. Like
So,
I had an agenda.
like a bad decision doesn't make you a bad person,
Right.
because even good people can make bad decisions.
I hear you. I hear you.
But like, yeah, I'm not trying to air your laundry,
Not
but
go
I
for it,
can,
bro.
I can't count on my fingers how many times, I would say we, but we'd leave the bar. I'd go home. It's like 2 a.m. And, John comes into work the next day and he's like, yeah, I was out till like 6 in the morning, and we start work at 7:30. Like,
No sleep.
no sleep. You could smell the alcohol on you,
Bro,
dude.
just irresponsible.
Yeah, it's night and day, and I'm so thankful for it, and I'm so proud of you as a person for getting to this point, because addiction is disgusting, and it's so hard to overcome, and the worst part is that it all starts with you, because you have to admit that you're an addict.
Thank you. Can you say that again?
You have to admit that you are an addict
Before you can ever get help. And I know that you maybe not you personally, but you definitely have contact with. I mean, I was somebody that you had contact with, but your experience on addiction.
Mhm.
Lay it out there, man. Let me hear
Yeah.
it.
So that was definitely another topic that I wanted to cover, was addiction. And it's crazy that, addiction, you mentioned that topic, and a lot of people, they think like, oh, they're talking about like drugs, alcohol. Like, no, there's so many other forms of addiction.
Come on.
Shopping, gambling.
Come on.
There's relationship addiction, where like you can't be by yourself because you're so afraid of like your own solitude.
Oh yeah.
There's how vulgar can I be on the show? There's the addiction where you just want to be intimate with other people.
Oh yeah, no, 100%. You can
Like-
be addicted to sex.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
So-
no, you can say that. Like,
Okay.
as long as you're not out here just like cussing a lot. Like,
Okay.
you're an adult. Bro.
I probably should have asked about the limitations.
No, you're good. Yeah, no, we talked
but yeah,
about
there's
sex.
there's sex addicts. There's
Yeah.
so many different forms, and you touched up on it earlier, and it's more just people are looking for vices to either promote pleasure or reduce stress.
Yeah,
Food is an addiction. Overeating.
absolutely. Come on.
People eat for pleasure. People eat for comfort. Comfort food.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just crazy that 99% of the time when someone says addict, the first thing you think is alcohol or drugs.
Right.
And like all these other ones just get to slide under the radar,
Come on.
Yeah,
it goes it literally goes unmentioned. It's kind of like, okay, no, I'm not an addict.
Mhm.
I don't drink that much, or I don't do that many drugs.
Another one,
or,
workaholics.
Come
Work
on,
addiction.
bro. All right, yeah. See, man, yeah, we're ready. Let's have this conversation. Yeah, there's so many ways that you can be addicted. And the only way, first and foremost, that you could ever overcome an addiction is to be self-aware and acknowledge that you have an issue.
Mhm.
You have to acknowledge that you have an issue. For the longest time, me personally, because it's my own personal experience that I have to rely on, is I didn't want to fix myself because I didn't think that I was broken.
Mhm.
Or I knew that I was broken, but I did not want to fix myself.
Yeah. And to overcome addiction, you essentially have to acknowledge that the current version of you is flawed. And like this is going to sound dramatic, but don't read too much into it. But you essentially need to start the grieving process of your current self.
Come on.
You need to accept it, and you need to move on.
Yeah.
Like I can't, because one of my biggest things, and you know this, John, is I'm always preaching about growth. Like you should, at the end of the day, your goal every day should be to grow in some capacity.
Yep.
You should learn something. You should be able to empathize something new with somebody who it's if you're not out here growing, you're stagnant, and to me that just seems awful, because there's a better version of you that you can tap into every day.
Yep.
And to not even make an effort, it hurts.
Dude, go ahead.
It hurts, and when we talk about addiction, like that's not taking one step back. That's literally never leaving the starting line.
Yeah.
you've shackled yourself, to that little platform at the start of the race. Everyone else is off and running, and you're just sitting there, and you either think it's going to shake loose on its own, or you just refuse to acknowledge it. It's unfortunate. Like you have to remove the part of yourself, and you have to acknowledge that you do have a problem, because once you do, you will seek help, whether it's through God, whether it's through your own means. You have to identify it so that you can move forward.
Oh, absolutely.
And that's always the biggest step in addiction is acknowledging it's there.
Mm-hmm. And I believe when you are addicted and not seeking, I believe when you're addicted and you're not seeking help, you are literally a prisoner to your present state.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you can't grow beyond your present state. And I'm not saying you can't learn things. I'm not saying like you ain't living life or nothing like that. But like, you are literally shackled to who that person is. And you will you'll never grow beyond that addiction until you admit that you have an issue and you need help. And then you seek that help. And through that help, you are held accountable for your actions. And through being held accountable for your actions, you let that person die by not continuing to do the actions that person used to do.
Mm-hmm.
And you choose to grieve that person, because listen, grieving the death of your prior self is a very real thing. And I think people relapse because they do not grieve their prior self, because he's still alive to them. They're still alive to them. And they liked that person. They loved that person, if you will. They loved that state of their life. They were attached to it. That was them. So by not allowing them to die and then grieving them properly and in a healthy way, admitting that that person was not good and he was not good for me, and I need to grieve that. And then once the grieving process is over, you are able to step into a new life. You're able to step into a new identity, a new self, a new you.
Mm-hmm.
And it's beyond anything that you could ever think or imagine in your present state while you are being held prisoner to yourself. And it's wild to me, because I lived it. And it was God who revealed to me that I actually had to grieve myself. And I cried, bro. Like, I cried. Like, sometimes I feel like we really need to like write ourselves a eulogy. Like, if you're ever addicted to something, like, and you're ready to get over it and you're to that grieving process, write a eulogy and love that person for who they were, but then admit and accept that they're dead and then move on. But you're totally right.
Yeah. And to kind of, touch back on what you were just saying, like, you can absolutely love the prior version of yourself, but you have to acknowledge that it's not good for you.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like how you said earlier, is like, that dude, he was fun. I enjoyed being him, but I can't be him. You can't be him anymore because you have these things you want to do. Yeah. You have these things are bad that you were doing,
Mm-hmm.
And I think another hard part of, just even approaching the plate when we're talking about addiction, nobody acknowledges the problems when they're the highs. They acknowledge them when they're in the lows.
Come on.
And unfortunately, what do a lot of, even Christian-minded people do is a lot of us, we don't acknowledge God for the good. We only, we don't thank him for his blessings, but we request his aid when we're not blessed.
Yeah, when we hit rock bottom, that's when we need the rock himself. And we go crying to him when we're in a prison cell because we got pulled over for drinking and driving, or we're at the end of a needle and the end of a high with an empty wallet. And we're like, God, help us. God, help us. And then he helps you. He gets you back up on your feet. And then you go right back to doing what you were doing, because it's not his help that you need. It's truly his freedom. It's truly his Holy Spirit on the inside of you. And this is what I believe. I'm just going to share it. The Bible teaches that we are slaves to sin.
Mm-hmm.
We are slaves to these habits, these patterns, these unhealthy tendencies that we go through in life, whether it be working too much, whether it be drugs and alcohol, whether it be sex addiction, whether it be, dependency on another person. God wants us to live in our true identity, and that true identity can only be found in him. And when we find our identity in him, when we truly go to him and we admit that we can't do it on our own, we need his help, he fills us with his Holy Spirit, and he allows us to take part in his life and in his power and in his authority. And then we are given power over sin, so that we are no longer slaves to these patterns, to these things in our lives that really just hold us down and keep us prisoner to our present self.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I agree with that, spot on. And I know you and we talk about this stuff quite frequently, but one thing I've always said, and I still kind of 100% believe, is that God does not give us anything that we cannot overcome. And a lot of people think, like overcoming it means they don't have to ask for God's help. No, that's the thing. He gives you things that, yes, you can overcome it without his aid, but he also gives you tests, challenges, because at the end of the day, it's not so much he wants you to come to him, but he wants you to know that when you need him, you can.
Come on, sir. Thank you so much, because we want to sit out here sometimes and say things that God don't be saying, and we want to make this like hallmarky saying or bumper sticker saying, put it on a fridge magnet and say that he won't give you more than you can handle. Nah, bro, he's gonna give you way more than you can handle, so you don't rely on your own strength and you don't rely on yourself, but you actually go to him and you rely on his strength and you rely on himself to give you the help that you need to get through whatever it is. And dude, I completely agree with you.
Yeah, I don't know. I remember I used to see this all the time at church and at my grandmother's. It's a little story, and it's probably got a name, honestly, but I don't know it. And it's more or less.
Is it the footprints in the sand?
It's the footprints in the sand.
It's the footprints in the sand.
Love that story. Do you want to go ahead and
No, you go for it, man.
All right. So more or less, it's a guy kind of wakes up on a beach and he's looking around, and then God comes up and tells him like, hey, you're at the afterlife. This is kind of your life, and we're going to kind of walk through it. And, him and God proceed to walk along, and they're kind of tracing his path through life and footprints in the sand.
Right.
And, there's several parts where he notices there's only one set of footprints. They get to the end, and, God's like, so, what do you think? And the gentleman says, well, I couldn't help but notice, that, like, there were two sets of footprints, for most of it, but it seemed like when times got really hard, you abandoned me because there was only one set of footprints. And God just looks at him and says, I did not abandon you. Those were the times where you needed me the most. I picked you up and carried you, you know? And that's kind of how I look at it, is it's not God, wants me to struggle. It's God wants me to know that if I am struggling, he's there to carry me.
Right.
And that is one of my favorite kind of depictions. I don't know where it came from, but you know what? It's always got a very nice, warm, soft spot in my heart whenever I read that, whenever I come across it, whenever I hear somebody talk about it, it's just very nice.
Yeah, it's one of those gentle reminders that God gives us, I believe, that helps us to understand that, one, he is always there and he cares about us. And if we acknowledge that he's there, we'll see that he's there. And through that acknowledgement and through that seeking, we'll find and be able to experience on this side of eternity those moments where, God, I need you to carry me. I need you to carry me. Like, I know you've given me strength. I know that you've empowered me, and I know that your Holy Spirit lives on the inside of me, and I truly believe in you, and we have a relationship. But life's getting hard, man. Like, I really need your help. And we can experience that so we don't end up being that guy. And I believe that's like the gentle reminder that we don't have to wait until the afterlife to like question like, where were you, God? But like, because we're on this side of the earth, like, or we're on this side of eternity, and we can get caught up in life so easily to where it's like, oh, where are you, Dad? Like, come on, Dad,
Yeah.
come on. And he's there. He really is there. And that's one of these wonderful things, like, I've experienced, at least with that. I like to say I've experienced just being a child. I'm a 32-year-old child.
Yeah,
bro.
you're a man child.
Oh, I am definitely a man child in a lot of ways. You know, it's like, I'm not going to grow up. I'm not going to grow up. Never going to grow up. But I enjoy being a child, and I enjoy the understanding and perspective that I am a child, and I'm not going to act like I know everything. But what I'm going to find security in is that I have a heavenly Father that cares about me, that loves me, that knows everything about me, and that if I throw a fit and cry a little bit and have a temper tantrum, he's going to wait on me. And then moments where I can't walk and I'm tired, he'll pick me up and he'll carry me.
Yeah. Or those moments where, I know we just got home, but I don't want to walk, so I'm going to pretend I'm still sleeping in the backseat of the car. He'll pick me up.
Facts. Facts. Do you ever see
100%.
do you ever see those funny videos where they be tricking kids?
No.
Like they'll literally like, so the kid will be sleeping, right? Acting like they're sleeping. The parent will like pick up the arm and they'll be talking to the other parent because they know their kid's listening. They'll be like,
yes.
what happens is if her hand falls, she's awake. But if her hand stays, she's sleeping. And then they'll like go to drop the hand and it'll stay there. Like, oh my gosh, y'all kids are adorable, just wanting to be carried by your parents. I love it.
No, I have seen a couple of those. But also just kind of circling back, talking about how, you kind of ask for help. I think that's another thing too, is when people ask for help, especially like when we're overcoming, like obstacles.
Right.
We tend, in my opinion, we tend to ask God to solve it for us.
Mm-hmm.
Like, God, give me the strength. God, tell me what I'm supposed to do. And I think that's also part of the problem, though. I shouldn't say part of the problem, because there's no definitive solution. But I think more or less what I think is the proper way to go about it is help me find the strength.
There you are.
Help me learn what I should do. Guide me, like if you're asking God to answer everything for you, you're not learning how to do things without God. You're not learning how to do things for yourself.
Right.
Like, and I'm not saying that, you don't need to ever ask God for help, if you're going through it, like, absolutely. But I am a firm believer in that if you're going to ask God for help, you need to want to help yourself.
Come on. Dude, I feel like you have a way better perspective than some Christians, because we can be lazy sometimes and we can be out here just kind of ignorant to what God's truly trying to get us to understand. And it was exactly what you said. And I'll give you an example. Like, some people will be praying for patience. Like, God, help me to be more patient. And here in Fostoria, we have a bunch of trains. Okay. So I could pray, God, help me to be patient. And next thing you know, I'm caught by a train and I'm a little irritated and all these things. And I'm just like, God, why? Like, I got somewhere to go. It's like, that's him answering your prayer. Or, God, help me to love people. He's not just going to give you this love. He's going to grow it in you. He's going to help you experience how to love people, because he will then, once you pray, God, help me to love people, he's going to put somebody in front of you that's difficult to love. And I've experienced that way too many times in my life, because I want the heart of God.
Yep.
I want the heart of God. And when I pray for the heart of God, he shows me the disgusting pieces of myself and the disgusting pieces of people in general, and why they're difficult to love, why they're difficult to be patient with sometimes. And I'm not saying that God doesn't love. I'm not saying that he's not patient. In fact, he's the most patient, and he's faithful, and he's honest, and he's very merciful, and all these things. But sometimes I'm not. And when I pray for his heart, that's what I experience. But yeah, we can be out here like wanting to wanting, like, we can literally be children. We want God to do these things for us instead of him teaching us how to do these things when he actually, he wants you to keep the heart of a child. But fam, he wants you to stand up on your own 2 feet and be an adult sometimes. Like, we can't be crying like out to God, like, God, take this away from me. Like, no, he's going to let you go through it. He's going to let you go through things sometimes so that you can grow beyond it.
Yeah. He's going to essentially, he's going to let you live out kind of what you've put yourself in.
Mm-hmm.
And he's going to help you if you ask, but he's not going to get you through it.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, it's your obstacle. It's in your way. And like I said, in my viewpoint, he never gives you anything you can't handle. And it's the stuff that you think you can't handle. You just need to ask.
Yeah.
You know, like literally, like I said, God, help me find the strength. You know, don't say, God, give me strength. God, help me find the strength.
Yeah.
God, help me learn how to deal with this person. God, help me find a way to make things right. You know,
Right.
like for me, it's just about not putting everything out there for God, because at the end of the day, well, yes, God has a plan for me and God is very much involved. It's more, I also have the self-autonomy. I have the freedom to put myself in situations.
Yeah.
And if I don't use my freedom to get myself out of said situations.
Oh, yeah.
And I just keep asking God to solve the problem for me, I'm not learning, I'm not growing. And it just kind of, a lot of this circles back to just kind of my personality and my beliefs, you know? Which, you know, it just, growth, man.
Growth is good. Growth is good.
Like literally the other day we were talking about it, and I still don't agree with you.
Let's hear it.
You know, you said that a seed has to die for a plant to grow.
And I Googled it and I showed you some proof.
No, I disagree. I still disagree.
All right. So here, I'm gonna give it to the people in the comments, and I might make a short out of this. So if you agree with me or if you agree with Raul, let us know real quick. But
either way, hit the like button.
I don't. You said it. I didn't. All right. So I believe that if a seed is to grow, it must first die, because its shell must die, separate, and a tree grows out of it, or whatever the plan is. What do you believe?
So I believe it is more of a just natural process. Like, I'm not going to say like metamorphosis, you know, but like how a caterpillar cocoons itself to turn into a butterfly. Are you saying that the caterpillar dies?
Huh? Well. Ooh, you read. This is how funny God is. What were we just talking about with addiction? That prior version of us has to die for a new life to live. So, just saying, maybe the seed is alive the whole time and it has to die for there to be new life grown out of it.
I choose to disagree, but I understand where you're coming from.
It's just a matter of perspective, but I hear you.
Yeah, I think my take on it was more or less, you know, a seed. Where do you put a seed? You put a seed somewhere dark, damp. You know, there's moisture, there's warmth. You know, there's content or not content. There's you know, a mix that is able to provide growth.
Right.
You know, you just have to give it time. And then what happens? It's in the dark. It's left alone.
Yep.
And then it's tired of that. And it starts clawing through the dirt, you know, wriggling through the dirt. And it finds its way out to the light, to the warmth.
Oh my gosh, bro. Holy Spirit, help me. Because there's something out there. I just watched a video here recently, and I don't know what it was from. It seemed like this older gentleman that was either giving a speech or like he was a professor or something, but it had to do with the same type of thing that we're talking about, to where it's like sometimes when you're in a dark place, you can feel like you're buried, as if you were supposed to die and you were just separated from everyone else in this dark place, but actually you were buried so that you could grow, or you were planted. You weren't buried, but you were planted. And it's a perspective that we have to have in our lives, I believe, truly 100%. I'll have to find it, and I'll probably just post the quote, but it was super solid, and I related to it because it changed my perspective. Because sometimes in my life, when I'm like separated from people or separated from a lifestyle and just I'm on my own, sometimes I can feel like I'm buried instead of planted, when God's trying to get me away from everybody else so that he can have some time with me and help me to grow into a better version of myself, because we're continuing to growing, like where we're continuing to grow throughout our lives. We're continuing to learn and become our best self possible. And yeah, I just really, really like that perspective.
Yeah.
So speaking of growing, I really want to see your perspective on this, because as we're growing in society, people's views and people's opinions and just perspective and all that stuff is changing, especially like in like the modern dating world.
Oh, absolutely.
Let's hear it, because I know we had ourselves a good conversation. We have ourselves like a 20-minute real room sesh on lunch break just about every day that we work together.
Yeah.
And it's fun. So you brought up that you actually watched a video that we talked about, or a video or an episode of The Real Room that we talked about dating and weddings and marriage and all that stuff. And you said you related to it quite a bit, so much that you wanted to give your perspective and just your view on just modern dating.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, there was an episode I caught, and that topic had kind of been brought up, and the interesting part was it was kind of brought up from a woman's point of view, and I was like, what, a good counter kind of cut of that viewpoint would be coming from the other side of the aisle, from a male's perspective.
Right.
And I gotta tell you, man, I've been single for like probably the last 7-8 years, and not for lack of trying. It's rough, man.
Oh yeah, things are changing out there.
Like I find a lot of the time people are either viewing relationships more as how do I put it? It's
Transactional.
not. Yeah, no, 100%. It's more of a transaction.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying it's the dating app kind of reality that we find ourselves in, but when you can essentially just look at photos on a screen and you just swipe, there's no interaction, you feel no guilt from rejecting somebody. Like there's no personal element. It's
yeah.
In my opinion, it's unhealthy.
Oh, it's completely surface level.
Like you're essentially you're matching people based on the wrong things. Like that's the starter. I've kind of given up on dating apps myself, just because I've put in a lot of time and investment, and you tell me I could put in more, which you're not wrong.
I just want to give you a sweet headshot so you look good.
But like even that, like when I'm talking with female friends who are in relationships, female friends who are talking to people, male friends who are in relationships, male friends who are talking to people, like it's crazy. Like I look at kind of what I picture relationships as, and I see kind of what they actually are now, and it seems just ludicrous.
Give me context to that. What is your perspective? And then tell me what you see.
So my perspective is, the way I think a relationship should function is it should essentially be two people living their lives, and it's not the same line you're living on, but it's two lines running either parallel, or we could even see like a
coinciding together,
like helically twined, like DNA, like
got you.
Like you're not on the same line. You're never on the same line, because that means you're literally one person. Like you and your wife should be two different people who are aiming at the same spot, but you're doing your own route to get there, if that makes sense.
I got you.
Like, I'm not saying you guys have to be together, on 100% of the things that you come across.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're at least not working towards the same goal, what's the point?
Right.
I find a lot of people, like a lot of my friends that I talk to, some of them have relationships where they literally do not get along, if they spend more than like 2 days with each other. And they've been dating for like, I think they're going on 3 years now. Like, that's, how do you have a relationship last that long where you can only stand the other person for like 2 days a week?
Right.
Like, I'm not saying you want to be with them 100% of the time. Like, they don't even live together. Like, they literally only like say hi to each other on the weekend.
Oh, geez.
And like, to me, good for them. They make it work. I'm not judging them. But to me, that just seems like you're just wasting time and effort.
Mm-hmm.
And I just, it baffles me. It makes me feel like people are so afraid to be by themselves that they will kind of match up with people that either don't align with where they want to be or where they're heading.
I hear you.
Just so that they're not alone.
Well, so you said a lot.
I did. I went on a tangent.
No, you did say a lot. Hey, bro, we call them righteous rants here. I definitely see where you're coming from, and I believe this is like when you take dating, it's kind of like the topic itself is a spider web topic. Because I could say dating and then I could start off on a thing and we could be going on one track of the spider web and somebody could disagree fully because they're on the other end or they're on this one or on that one. So like just from what you're saying, I agree with you in part because I do believe that two people should, when it comes to dating and then marriage and all these things, like if we don't have the same goals, and I'm not saying like you want to be a teacher and then I want to be an artist. Like, I'm not saying goals like that. But if we aren't working together to accomplish things in our lives and head towards one direction, and that's like, I don't know, maybe it could be financial freedom. Maybe it could be having kids and reprocreating, and or maybe it could be anything really. But if we aren't sharing with one another who we are as a person, what we want to do with our lives, and then going after these things with each other, what is the point? We're either wasting our own time or we're wasting somebody else's time, and then we're kind of like we're hitting start on a ticking time bomb that's going to blow up sooner or later. And it's really just kind of unhealthy, or we're just enjoying it for the time being. And to me, that kind of seems kind of selfish, to where I'm only here for myself, or I'm only here for my own pleasure, or what you can do for me instead of what can I do for you. And I know when it comes to me and my wife, we're two different ends of a spectrum, bro. Like, we're literally two pieces of a person put together to create one person. I love the example that you gave about DNA, because they're not really intersecting, but they're connected.
Mm-hmm.
And if I could alter that in some way, could we just put a line in the middle of it? For real? Could we just, like, because you have the two lines that are just swirling, and then you got the connecting pieces. But then, like, let's put another line in the middle of it, because there are parts of us that we have to come together and we have to more or less work as one person, especially ministry. Like, I don't know how much you know about ministry, but when it comes to doing things for God and in the church and stuff like that, we can't be divided. We might not fully agree, but we can't be divided. Like, if I have an idea and this is where I feel God's leading me, she'll come alongside of me and she'll follow me. And we're literally working as one body. So that's just one example that one thing that I wanted to touch on, what you were talking about. But then other than that, dude, I totally agree with you. Modern dating is literally just surface level, selfish, what can you do for me? I like you for your looks. Yeah, you're kind of a cool person, but the more I get to know you, maybe not, but I'm gonna stick around to see where this goes or what happens.
Mm-hmm.
It's unhealthy.
I would agree, and I think another aspect of it is honestly, I feel like modern dating, like people are so quick to rush into the physicality that comes with a relationship.
Yes.
When I think at the end of the day, like that's probably the wrong way to go about it. Because I think when you're looking, when you're looking at relationships, like if I had to give you like kind of a kind of image, I picture it like this. It's you're at a table, you're playing with Legos, right? You got one tower of Legos, you're building up slowly.
Okay.
That's a relationship. And your tower actually starts to get thinner as you take, the two people at the base, and you get them closer to each other.
Right.
Right. And I think the physical aspect of it should be more of the topper.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say this is a pyramid, because honestly, this is a pyramid, and I just don't know my shapes.
You're building a foundation that everything else is going to head to a point.
Yeah, but so when we're talking about the physicality, I feel like physicality should be the topper, because that shouldn't be the first thing you look for. Should it be something in there? Absolutely. But
yeah,
is that
definitely part of it?
Is that the major thing? Because if you find somebody that you physically work with, but then like everything else doesn't work, you don't have a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
You have a friend.
Yeah.
With benefits.
With benefits, and which I believe is very unhealthy.
Same.
That's
Agreed.
why you know me. You know my beliefs. I don't believe sex is for dating. I don't even think. I don't think sex is healthy outside of marriage. One, because God tells us so, and then two, I've experienced it on my own end. And why I feel that way is because sex clouds your judgment.
Mm-hmm.
Because we're talking about sex here. Sex is super powerful, and I once heard someone say it this way: sex in a relationship, not a marriage, sex in a relationship will make you look at a red flag and call it hot pink.
Yeah.
Be like, okay, he or she has some poor communication skills, but they're good in bed. He or she is really financially unstable and does not make good financial decisions.
They're really attractive.
They're really attractive. Fill in the blank. I'm just saying, like,
yeah,
it's unhealthy. Is it a plus? Absolutely. Let's be real here. I believe wholeheartedly God made us, and he fearfully and wonderfully made us. We are wonderful. He says our bodies are wonderful. We're spiritual beings. We're also sexual beings. And I believe by having sexual contact with another person, you are spiritually connecting yourself to them. But that's another subject.
No, I absolutely agreed.
But that's also the thing right there. That connection is what makes you consider red flags hot pink. And it makes you not consider the truth of a matter. And you really kind of end up lying to yourself about a person because you don't want to leave them because they're attractive or the sex is good. When really, you jumped into a relationship off of physical traits, off of physical attraction compared to sitting down with a person as if it's an interview. Okay, how do you feel about this? How do you feel about that? Okay, what's your experience here? What's your experience there? And really sitting down and getting to know a person. And I'm not saying people aren't doing that in dating, but they're kind of like doing it, like they're rushing through it so that they can get to the payday.
Yeah. Well, and not just that, but like I feel like kind of touching on that.
Can you turn your mic a little bit?
No.
Just turn it that way. Okay.
Touching up on that a little bit, it's kind of like they are rushing, and the craziest part is if you take the time and do your due diligence up front, you'll have the rest of your life.
Oh, come on. Yes.
And I don't want to say that the trade-off that a lot of modern dating is about is the short-term reward versus the long-term reward. You're getting your gains up front instead
Mm-hmm.
of being patient and getting a bigger one in the long term.
Right. And I think with that, thank you. I'm so glad you said it that way. We're robbing ourselves. Anybody who's putting themselves in that position is literally robbing yourself, because you're trying to get everything up front, and then when it doesn't pan out, you just wasted your time. You just connected yourself to a person. Now you're ripped apart from that person, and you're just left a whole mess, and you're kind of incomplete for the next relationship. When really, the way I kind of see a relationship going as it should go is, like I've already explained, sit down, get to know this person. I think we'll agree here. Like, sit down, get to know the person, live life with the person. I'm not saying even move in with them. Live life with the person, get to know them, experience things with them. And then if you feel this person's right for you, and you can honestly, in a good headspace and a good emotional space, see yourself with this person for the rest of your life, because you got to know them. You know their ins, you know their outs, you know when they're mad, you know when they're sad. Like, you've learned this person, and you want to marry them. Marry them, and then get to know them over and over and over again, because that's what life is.
Mm-hmm.
Literally 5 to 10 years from now, I will be a completely different person that Pauline's going to have to learn to love.
Yeah.
And she will be the same. And all while the marriage happens, you're able to have sex. Enjoy your sex. Enjoy your wife. Enjoy your husband. Because, unfortunately, our bodies get old. And, one day you might not be able to do it. I hope I'm able to have sex when I'm like super old. But like, one day you might not be able to have sex. So you're going to be stuck with this person. I would like to know that I'm stuck with a person that I love, that I know, and that I have no problem being with. Because if I'm only there for the physical attraction and what I can get from them, it's going to suck when I get older. That's just my opinion.
No, spot on. Is you might as well find somebody who you can, love every day, no matter what, than find somebody you're going to love every day for 10 years. And then
Right.
now that, the attractiveness is gone or something's changed, now you're less interested,
Mm-hmm. And I believe, honestly, like, I really do believe, though, that I believe social media and just the internet itself kind of like paints dating and everything in a bad light as well. Because what you're looking for, what you see as a healthy thing, what we've been explaining, is still out there. There are people still out there.
Yeah.
And I believe that they're actually being deterred or choosing to not be part of the modern dating life because they have the same views that you have. They're either going through it for a little bit, they're realizing, yeah, no, that's unhealthy, I don't want it. And then they end up being single for a long time because they're waiting for those real things to come on by. And then that's also when you take time to work on yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And sooner or later, I believe through God's sovereignty, and then also just people taking responsibility for their lives and their own autonomy, that they're like, hey, yeah, I'm gonna put myself out there, maybe get on an app, try it. Okay, delete it. That wasn't working. Re-download it. Okay, delete it. That wasn't working.
Guilty. No, but and that's another part of it too, though, is like, if you get out of a relationship, or if you're struggling on dating apps, yeah, absolutely take some time to, focus on you.
Mm-hmm.
And that's part of that growth thing that I touched on earlier, is promoting growth. You have to do little bits every day. They're going to add up over time.
Yeah.
So if you're not taking that little bit of time to do it daily, it's you're never going to see it. So if you want growth in your dating experience or relationship experience, you have to give a little every day.
Absolutely. Dude, I'm glad you touched back on it, because I forgot you said that earlier. But I completely agree with you. I'm not saying people aren't doing it. I mean, I can fall in and out of this thing. But yeah, we need to be growing every single day of our lives. And that's what this real room's kind of for as well. It's like it's holding everybody accountable. It's creating a community where we can all come together and we can learn from one another and grow and experience life. Because there's definitely people out there that are a lot more smarter than me. And if they could give me a nugget each day of my life that I can just be like, oh, okay, how can
Oh,
I apply that? How
100%. There's
bro
plenty of people that are smarterer than I.
smarter than you? There's definitely much more or much better pronouncers for sure. But yeah, dude, I completely agree. You got that?
Yeah.
I'm not a dad, but I love dad jokes. But no, dude, I completely agree with you. And I believe that we need to be out here growing every single day of our lives. And if we're not, you're just stagnant.
Yeah.
I hate stagnus.
Hmm.
Yeah, I can't do it. I can't. Like, if I'm not going somewhere in my life, at least in a very, like, it could be micro, like, it could be a micro change in my life. Like the way I drink or the way I make my coffee, the way that I drive to work. It's like I'm always trying to improve the lifestyle that I'm living and who I think, all right, thank you, Holy Spirit. That's the way yeah, that's how I'm going to say it. I'm always trying to improve my life because I know that my life has value and it has an impact on other people. And I've accepted the responsibility that my life impacts other people. So I have the responsibility to keep improving my life so that I can help improve others, at least in any way that I can. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Bro. Bro. I'm glad because we said we were going to sit down and we were going to talk like it was
The lunch
the
table.
lunch table at work. And I believe we just did.
Yeah, man. I believe we still are.
Yeah. Is there anything else you want to talk about, my guy? Anything on your mind, man?
I-
We're here.
We what was it? We were just discussing something and I wanted to circle back, but then you
I'm
went
sorry.
off. No,
I'm so
you
sorry.
you were speaking what you wanted to speak, man. You said your piece. I'm glad.
I got you.
I think it just more or less. I wanted to circle back, kind of into the dating thing because
Yeah.
I know I definitely. It felt like I was putting a lot of blame on other people. And
Okay.
I want to clarify that there's absolutely things I can do better. There's things I'm still working on. There's things I need to work on,
Right.
you know? And so when I said take the time that you're not in the game and work on yourself,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not telling you to do that without actually, following through on my front.
Oh, and I just, are you kidding? Yeah, thank you. All right. First and foremost, I agree with you. Because a lot of times I have found, at least within podcasts and then also being on a podcast myself, we kind of like it's very easy to talk about a subject and kind of like the person on the other side of either the speaker or the camera can be like seeing nothing but me pointing a finger at you. It's like,
Yeah.
nah, bro, we're in the same boat. We're in the same boat. I'm just talking about my experience with this. And with that being said, yeah, no, I'm your accountability. I'm somebody that can confirm that you have been working on you for sure. Like we do life together, fam.
Mm-hmm.
Like we literally do life together. If we're not working together, we find time to hang out and we do exactly this. And you're somebody that I consider somebody that tries. Like you're definitely a real person because you can see what's going on and then take responsibility for you and not just point blame. You can be aware of it and you can be like, hey, no, that's wrong. Not judging you, but that's wrong. That's unhealthy. I'm not going to be a part of it. I'm going to actually separate myself from it. And while I do so, I'm going to work on myself. And then through that self work, you end up becoming involved in another thing. Or am I making sense here?
Yeah, no.
Like you yourself, dude, just through our conversations, you've grown through just your own personal decisions, like not drinking anymore, eating healthier, and just getting. I know you've been working on your weight and everything like that. Like, no, you're improving yourself. So I don't think it really came off as you were pointing the finger. You're just kind of giving your perspective.
Not so much, yeah. I'm not pointing the finger, but
I got
I want to
you.
make sure anybody watching at home isn't just saying, "Well, that guy's just telling me things I want to hear," or saying
Right.
things and not really. He doesn't know what I'm going through. Like,
Mm-hmm.
no, trust me. I've been struggling with a lot of the things that we've talked about. John talked about alcohol. This is going to be something new for probably a good amount of people who see this on Facebook. And
Yeah.
I didn't know if I was going to share it today when I came in, but I 100% like I got pulled over for a DUI. I think 2 years ago.
Somewhere around there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Hit you pretty hard.
yeah, and I had a bunch of money saved up for a house and gone.
Yep.
Don't have house money. Restricted a lot of my activities for a good year or so. And thankfully I have a very good circle of family and friends, even a couple coworkers who I trusted very well. The whole spiel that John and I have kind of been going over with addiction, like it's not something we're telling you to do. It's something we've lived.
Facts.
Like 100%.
Jeez. That's 100% facts.
And the craziest part is addiction comes in every shape or form. Like John, and I'm not bashing you
Hey,
when I
bro,
say
here.
this, but
You know the truth.
how John said earlier, we were definitely the, hey, we're going to go to the bar every night kind of guy.
Yep.
Which I tagged in a little bit here and there, like I'd probably be out there every weekend and maybe 2-3 nights a week.
Mm-hmm.
So there might be 2 nights I was at home, and once John kind of getting on the right path, I actually, was using him as my example, trying to learn from him, and I was doing
Yeah.
really well. And then one night I just binged,
Yeah.
I had a drink here, I had a drink there, and then I took a breather, and then I went to the next place and I just had 3 drinks, and then boom, there you go,
Yeah. But I bet you felt okay to drive.
Hmm.
See, that's the thing, man.
All it took was 3 drinks. Like I had the 2 and I said I was going home, but I had already been drinking at that point, and I was like, I'm going to keep staying out, making bad decisions. And
Mm-hmm. Dude, and they got it down to a science, man. It doesn't matter if you had 2. Doesn't matter if you had 3. Doesn't matter if you had 1. If you had 1 within the same hour that you're choosing to drive, you're
Mhm.
over the legal limit.
Oh,
Because
absolutely.
the point is no drinking and driving. And when I was in it, I was just like, how far can we press the limit? Or
Mhm.
what can we get away with? But now that I'm through it and I'm delivered of alcoholism and I'm no longer an addict, like looking at it, I'm like, dude, I'm so happy I didn't hurt somebody. I'm so happy I didn't kill somebody.
Yeah.
Like, bro, this changed my life. When I got out of my second, so for my second DUI, you got to serve like 10 days. So that's 1 day. The day that you go in counts. The day that you leave counts, even if you're leaving like in the morning.
Mhm.
So I went in and I served my time. The day I'm getting out, I'm sitting there waiting to be picked up, and I seen on TV bro, I'm telling you, this had to be like, I was like, is this really happening? Like, y'all probably put in a tape. Like, this is probably a VHS tape that y'all got like recorded to like scare drunk drivers when they're leaving prison. Like, it was like a Scared Straight situation for sure. But I was in the prison waiting to get out, and I'm sitting there, and up there on a TV on the wall, right? I see this news thing come up, and this drunk driver was driving and hit a carriage
Mhm.
and killed people.
Yeah.
And this dude was serving years. And to get to see that and be thankful that it wasn't me, but then also think about the family and then think about the driver, because you don't mean to hurt people.
Yeah.
Nobody means to hurt people. That dude's gonna think about it for the rest of his life. And I know this might be an unpopular opinion because a lot of people are just ruthless on the internet, but they're like, oh, he deserved it and this and that. And then I'm like, bro, he just made a mistake. He just wasn't thinking.
Like we said earlier, good people make bad decisions.
Yeah.
That doesn't make them bad people.
It doesn't. But that happened, and God allowed me to see that, and my perspective changed. And yeah, I just like that wasn't one of the defining factors, but it was. I'm gonna just say it, like that was one of the steps in the sand, if you will. That was one of the steps in the sand that I walked that for a reason, so that I could learn that lesson, and that I wouldn't end up being that guy. And I just, yeah, I went on my road to recovery, if you will, like, and yeah, dude, it doesn't take much. It literally, like a drop of a dime, you can make a bad decision, and it could cost you, and it could cost others.
Yeah. I'm blessed in the same boat, is that the only person that was affected by the incident was me.
Mm-hmm.
It was my bed. I made it. I laid in it.
Yep. And it cost you.
It cost me too much.
Way too much. But it could have cost you more.
Could have cost me a whole lot more.
Yeah.
And for that, I'm very thankful, and I pray every day. And I, circling into praying every day, I think that's another part of it too, is circling back into the whole addiction thing. What people should do is look at your perspective. Your perspective changes so much.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I used to be that guy. I'd wake up every day and I'd be like, ugh, it's only Tuesday. Ugh, it's only Thursday.
Yeah, living for the weekend.
Mm-hmm. Don't get me wrong, I still live for the weekend.
I hear you.
But now when someone, greets me and says, hey, how's it going? I was like, well, it's a good day. Oh, it's a good day? Yeah, I woke up this morning. It's a great day.
Facts.
And that has just changed a lot, just that different perspective in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
So if you ever find yourself struggling, like, try changing your perspective.
Yeah. God's helping me with that a lot lately. It's just learning to have a different perspective, because you can get caught in a bad headspace and that become your whole reality when it's not even real. Like, whether that's like mad at people or mad at a situation, mad at yourself, living in the past, trying to live in the future. Like, when you do these things, you're creating a reality that's actually separating you from your present. And you're not able to be present, and to have a change of perspective that allows me to live in the present is just so much sweeter. It's kind of like even what we're doing right here. Like, I'm not listening to speak, but I'm listening so that I can take into consideration everything that you're saying, so that we can actually have a conversation. The same thing goes in life. Like, you are living life in such a way that not living to react to it, but living to experience it in a way that makes it, or gives you the ability to react in the right way instead of a negative way.
Yeah, I definitely prefer to be proactive instead of reactive. So I feel like if you're reactive, you're on your back foot, whereas if you're proactive, you're ready to be on your back foot.
Ooh, I like that, sir. So that's good. Oh my gosh, I love you.
This does feel like a lunch break, honestly.
Dude, it really does.
Worst part is I keep thinking, like, man, I've been sitting here too long.
Right?
I'm like, where's that clock? Is it time to get up yet?
Right, dude. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I don't know what I'd do if I didn't work with you. I'm so serious.
Man, I feel it sometimes. There's days where I know you come find me and you're like, bro, I'm going through it. I need you to just be here and listen to me. I need my friend, not a boss.
Yes. And I'm glad that you're able to compartmentalize, like, hey, I need my friend, not my boss. Okay, I need my boss, not my friend. Give me perspective here. Like, how should I feel about this or that?
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, bro, I could probably never put into words how blessed I am to actually not have someone like you, but have you in my life. And I'm talking like my past, my present, and my future, because like a lot of times I look at my life and I'm sad. I'm sad when friends aren't here anymore, or I'm not attached to people, or they're not attached to me, and like, you know what I mean? And I kind of like, you lose friends when you change lifestyles, and you're somebody that we were able to do what we did in the past, and now we're still friends. Like, explain that to me, my guy. Like, I'm just so happy
It's
about it.
100% because we weren't friends because of the lifestyle. We were friends because our life.
Right.
Like, literally, you've touched on it a little bit today. We've touched on it before. Like, we come from very similar circumstances. Like, we're just able to bond because we can empathize with each other.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the lifestyle don't matter because we both understand where we're at, where we were, where we want to be.
I don't want to like say this like in a tag way, like, you know what, make a clip out of it. 'Cause not everything needs to be a clip.
Clip it.
Clip it. Clip it. But when you were saying it, it's kind of like I'm trying to figure out which one's the better. Experiencing life together or experiencing each other through life.
Ooh.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ooh, that's tough.
Right?
Well, and let's circle back because obviously, like, you know, you say like I've been here for you, I've done all these things. Like, I can tell you, man, like I am a completely different Raul than I used to be. When John first met me at Best Buy, I was a lot like Pauline, his wife. I was super quiet. Like, my boss at the time, I would literally knock on the door and I would like peek my head in and be like, "Hey, I'm done. Can I go home?"
You're quiet,
thank you.
timid.
Yeah. Like, super just like didn't really want to talk to people. I would never look anybody in the eyes. And then here comes John, and John's, you know, like he didn't give me a choice. He's like, "No, you are my friend."
Yeah, that's facts.
Like, John wasn't like, "Oh, hey man, you should come out with a," like, no, "Hey, you're coming."
Yeah, and I would say, all right, there's one thing, and this is a healthy pride for all you Christians. I want to take scripture out of context. Just kidding, I love you. I'm actually very proud of one thing, because when I met you, we can jokingly say like, how can I corrupt him?
Yeah.
No, I came into your life and I was one of those people that kind of was pretty protective over your innocence, because I didn't like, yeah, I'd always try to be out there trying to help you grow and help you live life and experience things. But I'd like to think, tell me if I'm correct or not. I didn't always put the pressure on you, or I protected you from other people. I'm not saying like I'm your big brother, but like I kind of backed you up sometimes. When you said no, you meant no. And then other times, kind of other times, because I'm not perfect. I ain't got a perfect track record, bro.
There was definitely times where no meant no, and no is like, "Are you sure? Because I got you if you want to."
Right. I just know one subject in particular, but I'm not sure if you want to touch on it.
That's the deer in the headlights look, because I'm trying to figure out what he's talking about.
Mind melt. Are you ready?
No.
Because I'm not gonna bring it up. You have to bring it up yourself.
Give me like a time.
A time?
Like
before you changed.
Rock on the Range?
You were super innocent.
You know what? Go ahead, share it. I don't
share it.
Yeah.
I don't want to share it.
Okay, then don't.
All right, then we're not going to share it. We're just going to be weird on camera. We're going to be weird on camera.
He's going to cut this part anyway.
Nah. That's one thing we don't do here. We'll just be weird. Yeah, I don't cut things. Unless somebody asks me, I won't cut things.
I'm very much fond of that.
Yeah, no, that's why it's called the real room. This isn't like pre-recorded room. I mean, like we pre-record things, but like it's the real room. Like this is something that helps me within one, being a creative. I am detail oriented and a perfectionist, Raul. So when it comes to creating content, like I want this to be perfect. I want people to enjoy what they watch. And God has helped me release that and pretty much accept the fact that we are not perfect. So there is a beauty in the imperfections. And when we capture imperfections, when like, obviously we're sitting here talking like, Should I mention it? Mention what? Like, no, there's something awesome about that. And somebody probably laughed about it. We got a good laugh out of it.
You know, the best part is there's probably like one or two other people who know exactly what you're talking about. And they're like,
Probably.
oh, and I think I can think of the two people too.
Yes. They are our two friends that know exactly.
They better know who they are.
You know who you are.
You know.
You know.
But yeah, no. What were we talking about before that, though?
I don't know. We're coming up on a little over an hour and a half. But yeah, we can still keep going if you want.
Hey,
it's up to you what we
covered
talk
my
about.
topics. If you want to get into some stuff, I got nothing but time, man.
Bro, I hear you, but I also I do have something to do later.
He wants to kick me out.
No, I don't want to kick you out. You putting me on the spot, and I'm about to be like a deer in the headlights. Because you're right, we're not used to having this much time to actually sit down and talk. Because it's usually it's good that we have limits. Yes. Sometimes it really is.
Otherwise, I feel like we just go off on tangents that never end.
And that's what I don't want to happen. Because I do listen. When it comes to you've even said it though. You're one of those people who's like, bro, I like long form content, but that's a 3-hour episode, fam.
100%.
So I just want to, this has been a good episode, though.
I mean, worst comes to worst, you can always bring me back. I'm never opposed to having a good conversation
All right,
with you,
that's
John.
what I was really trying to get out of him. You said it, not me. Yeah, bro, we can bring this to a close. But would you do me the honor? Would you come back in the real room?
Yeah.
Yeah, get real with us.
I really would.
Awesome. All right, well, I guess we're just gonna cut it then. Hey guys, we love you. Well, actually, Raul, thanks, bro. Like literally. You're my homie, you're my friend, heterosexual life mate, completely straightforward. I can't honor you enough, and I'm very thankful to have you in my life, and I'm very thankful that you considered just coming on the Real Room and getting real with us, man. Thanks.
Yeah, no, I appreciate the invite. I definitely appreciate you sitting down and talking with me about, a couple of things that I wanted to bring up, and hopefully when I come back, maybe you'll get to pick a couple topics and we can definitely go in on it.
For sure. I'm going to dig
100%.
Bro, I'm going to dig in your brain. 100.
Good luck, man. There's some things in there.
I know, bro. Like, we could get completely dark here.
Hey,
you got a dark sense of humor.
We're doing a closing, John.
I know. All right. Well, thanks, bro. I appreciate you. Thanks you. Thank you. Thanks you.
Thanks you.
See, this is what I'm talking about. The Real Room.
Once upon a pine.
Once upon a pine. All right. Everybody, thank you so much for stepping in the Real Room. This has been Raul Hernandez. Thank you guys for coming in to the Real Room and getting real with us. We will see you guys next week in the next episode. But until then, keep it real.